President Biden recently gave a speech where he issued a stark warning about the existential threats facing our nation. As we navigate these turbulent times, Biden's words serve as a clarion call to prioritize the health of America and its people over partisan politics. He highlights the extreme MAGA movement and its dangerous impact on our democracy, especially going forward. Let's listen in.
Who are we? What do we stand for? What do we believe? What will we be? History has brought us to a new time of testing. All of us are being asked right now, what will we do to maintain our democracy? Democracy means rule of the people, not rule of monarchs, not rule of the money, not rule of the mighty. Regardless of party, that means respecting free and fair elections, accepting the outcome, win or lose. It means you can't love your country only when you win. Democracy means rejecting and repudiating political violence. Regardless of party, such violence is never, never, never acceptable in America. It's undemocratic, and it must never be normalized to advance political power. Today, let's be clear. While we've made progress, democracy is still at risk. This is not hyperbole, a simple truth. Everywhere I go in the world, they look and they ask the question, is it going to be okay? The Chancellor of Germany said, Mr. President, what would you think if you pick up the paper tomorrow, the London Times, and it said 1,000 people broke down the doors of Parliament, marched and killed 2 bobbies in order to overthrow an election of the new Prime Minister. And there's something dangerous happening in America now. There's an extremist movement that does not share the basic beliefs in our democracy. The MAGA movement. My friends, they're not hiding their attacks. They're openly promoting them, attacking the free press as the enemy of the people, attacking the rule of law as an impediment, fomenting voter suppression and election subversion, banning books and burying history. Extremists in Congress more determined to shut down the government, to burn the place down, than to let the people's business be done. They're pushing a notion the defeated former president expressed when he was in office and believes applies only to him. And this is a dangerous notion. This president is above the law, no limits on power. Trump says the Constitution gave him, quote, the right to do whatever he wants as president, end of quote. I've never heard a president say that in jest, not guided by the Constitution or by common service and decency toward our fellow Americans, but by vengeance and vindictiveness. We see the headlines, quote, sweeping expansion of presidential power. A goal to, quote, alter the balance of power by increasing the president's authority over every part of the federal government, end of quote. What do they intend to do once they erode the constitutional order of checks and balances and separation of powers? Just consider these as actual quotes from MAGA, the quote, I am your retribution, slitting throats of civil servants, replacing them with extreme political cronies. Whitewash attacks of January 6th by calling the spearing and stomping of police quote, a legitimate political discourse. Do you ever think you'd hear leaders of political parties in the United States of America speak like that? Seizing power, concentrating power, attempting to abuse power, purging and packing key institutions, spewing conspiracy theories, spreading lies for profit and power to divide America in every way, inciting violence against those who risk their lives to keep America safe, weaponizing against the very soul of who we are as Americans. This MAGA threat is a threat to the brick and mortar of our democratic institutions. But it's also a threat to the character of our nation. They haven't given up. Here is what you hear from MAGA extremists about the retiring Patriot General honoring his oath to the Constitution. Quote, he's a traitor. Quote, in times gone by, the punishment would have been death. End of quote. This is the United States of America. This is the United States of America. And although I don't believe even a majority of Republicans think that, silence is deafening and affecting not only those leaders, but their families, their children. MAGA extremists claim support of our troops, but they're harming military readiness, leadership, troop morale. They call servicemen suckers and losers. It's not only wrong, it's un-American, but it never changes. The MAGA extremists across the country have made it clear where they stand. So the challenge for the rest of America, for the majority of Americans, is to make clear where we stand. Do we still believe in the Constitution? Do we believe in the basic decency and respect? The whole country should honestly ask itself what it wants and understand the threats to our democracy. I believe in the separation of powers and checks and balances, that debate and disagreement do not lead to disunion. I believe in free and fair elections and a peaceful transfer of power. I believe there's no place in America, none, None for political violence, because we're good people who believe in honor, decency, and respect. I was able to get the infrastructure bill passed. It's over $1 trillion. The majority of it so far has gone to red states who didn't vote for me, because I represent all Americans, which is why I'm asking you that regardless of whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or Independent, put the preservation of our democracy before everything else. Put our country first. We can't take democracy for granted. About my fear of the diminishment of democracy. Folks, every generation has to be vigilant. I thought, well, you can defeat hate. You can't defeat it. When someone comes along and lifts up the rock and breathes a little oxygen in there, it comes roaring back. You should all remember, democracies don't have to die at the end of a rifle. They can die when people are silent, when they fail to stand up or condemn the threats to democracy. When people are willing to give away that which is most precious to them because they feel frustrated, disillusioned, tired, alienated. I get it. I really do. I get it. For all its faults, though American democracy remains the best path forward to prosperity, possibilities, progress, fair play, equality. And democracy requires all of us and all the major parties. You matter. That democracy survives and thrives, not be smashed by a movement more interested in power than in principle. It's up to us, the American people. In my view, the more people vote, the more engaged the whole nation becomes, the stronger democracy will be. So the answer to the threats we face is engagement. It's not to sit in the sidelines. It's to build coalitions and community. To remind ourselves there's a clear majority of us who believe in our democracy and are ready to protect it. The young people across the country, you're the reason I'm so optimistic. I know I don't look it, but I've been doing this for a long time. All kidding aside, I've never been more optimistic about America's chances in domestic and foreign policy as I am today. I really mean it. Because the young people, 100,000 students at this university and all across America, they are the most gifted, the most tolerant, the most talented, and the best educated generation in American history. And it's your generation, more than anyone else's, who will answer the questions. Questions for America. Who are we? What do we stand for? What do we believe? Who will we be? It's not your burden alone. But your generation will not be ignored, will not be shunned, will not be silent. I've said it before. We're at an inflection point in our history. One of those moments that not only happens once every several generations, it happens once every 8 or 9 generations, where the decisions made in a short period of time we're in now are going to determine the course of this country and the world for the next 6 or 7 decades. So, you, me, every American who's committed to preserving our democracy and our constitutional protections, we carry a special responsibility. We have to stand up for American values embedded in the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, because we know that MAGA extremists have already proven they won't. History's watching. The world is watching. And most important, our children and grandchildren will hold us responsible. So let me close with this. In 3 years, we'll commemorate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. A moment not only about our past, celebrating all we've done, but a moment about the future. But all we can be, still be. Imagine that moment and ask, what do we want to be? Now's our time to continue to choose and secure a sacred cause of the American democracy. I know we can meet this moment. That the soul of America depends on the souls of all Americans. How we choose to see our nation, how we choose to see ourselves, how we choose to lead, not only by the example of our power, but by the power of our example. So let's never quit. Let's never hide from history. Let's make history. If we do that, we'll have done our duty to our country and to each other. Future generations will say, we kept the faith. We'll have proved, through all its imperfections, America is still a place of possibilities, a beacon for the world, a promise realized, where the power forever resides with we, the people. That's our soul. That's who we truly are. That's who we must always be. And that's why I've never been more optimistic about America's future. We just need to remember who we are. We are the United States of America. There is nothing beyond our capacity when we act together. Thank you.
President Biden's message couldn't be clearer. Our democracy is at a crossroads. Trump and his MAGA movement and their extremist ideologies pose a real and present danger to the very fabric of this nation. As Biden said, democracies don't have to die at the end of a rifle. They can die when people are silent. So, what can we do? We must stand up, speak out, volunteer, and most importantly, vote. Our democracy is too precious to be left to chance or extremism. Politics Code Blue is with you every step of the way. Remember, the fight for democracy is the fight for America's soul. Follow PCD on every platform and become a sustaining member if you are able to, so we can reach more people. politicscodeblue.com. See you there.